We do have someone in the lobby,
Oh, there's a lobby? Where?
in the meeting lobby.
No,
They hung up.
they hung up.
In this meeting,
North Village Annual Meeting, yeah, I'm on the record.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Oh,
Hi there.
thanks. Should I sign this?
yes.
Oh, we have a couple more minutes. This is the first meeting we've had that no one has come to for these service areas.
I know.
I know that one of them
There's somebody,
is calling in.
Hi.
There you go.
Here it is.
It's funny, I noticed as I was looking and then I could have just watched it on.
Oh, you could have just jumped on.
Yeah, but it's.
We're happy you came in person. Nice to meet you.
I'm Rose and Deleve.
We've spoken on the phone. Rose, you're,
321.
I'm 310,
310.
Charles. I tried to pay my door, but I never did get around to it. We just bought it about a little over a year now.
Okay, that's right, the collar.
Correct, I had, what's his face, paint, the son of,
You had the parrots?
I do, that's exactly right. But I have 8 parrots, one.
One.
It's not really a parrot, it's just an exotic bird.
Excellent,
So,
yeah.
Things online.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm glad, I'd like to sort of know what's happening. Who's really what's
Sure,
what.
that's very
It
good,
seemed, yeah, I mean,
Very
it only seems to make sense.
very important.
Hello, this is Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hi there.
How is everybody?
Doing good, Nick. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Very good. Well, I guess we will begin. It is 2:06. It is 2:03 on Wednesday, June 25th. This is the annual meeting for the North Village Townhome Service Area Association. Okay. There has been some changes in why you're seeing an annual meeting is in pursuit of Article 6.3 in our bylaws. We are now doing annual meetings to appoint any committee members instead of, I know in the past, the appointments have been made by the Crow Board. So this being said, we had the open applications, and during that time, we received 3 applications, and they are going to be of the same committee members that it will be rolling over. So we have Patricia Amundere, Patrick Robertson, and Nick Fertig. So congratulations and thank you for your volunteer and time to your community. As we begin, Rose, can you verify this meeting was
It was
properly
properly
noticed?
notified.
Okay. So we do not have a quorum of the community nor of the committee, as we only have one of the 3 committee members present, and that's Nick Fertig. So what we will be doing then is the only other actions on this annual meeting before we could conclude it and switch over to our North Village Townhomes Q2 service area meeting where we'll conduct normal business would be that we select a chair of this committee. We will table the selection of a chair until we have quorum of the committee to be able to select a chair. So with that, we will, at 2:05, we will adjourn the annual meeting, and at 2:05, we will commence the Q2 service area meeting for North Village Townhomes Association. And Rose, you could verify that this was also properly noticed.
It was properly noticed.
While we cannot technically call the meeting to order as we don't have a quorum of the committee, we can still continue a discussion if there's anything that would like to be discussed. We'll still go over the financials as this is a recorded meeting for any of the community members that aren't able to attend in person or during the time of this meeting, for them to be able to do this at a later point in time when the video is posted. That being said, Nick or Daniel, do you have any questions or anything, old business or things that you'd like to cover today? I know, like I said, we can't do any voting action, but we can still hold discussion.
I mean, from my perspective, it has been going well. I think George did a fantastic job with the landscaping stuff, the grass replacement, the sprinkler replacement, and stuff like that. I know that we're still working on some of the items in the back alleyway. There's, I think, 2 different approaches that have been proposed, and so I think our third committee member, Patrick, is going to have be the deciding vote on that one, on how we proceed. So I did just text him to see if he's going to get on or not. But we'll see. You know, I'll remind him that he needs to take a look at that and kind of provide guidance on how he would like to proceed with that, since we have 2 methods that have kind of been recommended. And so, yeah, I think everything has been going good. The only feedback that I would have would be that I definitely feel like the pressure washing, you know, I sound like a broken record on this one, but I feel like the pressure washing was sort of an area that didn't kind of meet expectations again, because it seems like the pressure washer that was selected at this venture didn't really use pressure. When he did the pressure washing, it was more of like a chemical and like a spray off. Since I have that recorded on the Ring camera and kind of what he did, it was kind of in and out, no pressure, no circular, you know, pressure washer being used on the sidewalks. It was more of I'd say more aggressive hose that he used with chemicals. And of course, you know, I know I've been on record on this for a bunch of times, but to me, the feedback that I get from the community and also from my perspective is that if we're getting pressure washed and we literally stop at the front step of the homes, the impact piece that people are going to notice is the first step of the homes. A lot of the associate members weren't even aware that the pressure washing took place, because when they stepped out of their homes, you know, the front step still looks like it did. The columns still look like it did. And, you know, the sidewalks, there wasn't really a noticeable change in their appearance. And I'm not sure if it was intended to be done, but at least in the email blast that went out for the pressure washing, it did say that, you know, the garage driveways and the exteriors of the PVC fencing would also be handled. And I can tell you right now that none of the PVC exterior fencing at my area got done, and none of the driveways got done.
I think there's another service area that asked about the stoops, the front steps as well.
Yes, because in the spring pressure washing, as it has been established like forever, we took over with that scope of work. It's the steps, but not the porch. So another service area has asked if we can add that to our scope of work for next year, which makes sense. So we will be working on that.
Yeah, that's the impact piece. And I can tell you, like, you know, like that, and this is where, you know, I could literally pull up the email from May of 2024 where I think I provided the same feedback, like word for word. When the steps minus the porch, that's fine, but they literally didn't touch the steps. And so, you know, for a home like mine, it's 2 steps and then the walkway into my front door. So the semantics of like what is a step and what is a porch, it's crazy to me that we go up to the point of the first step and then literally stop. So they didn't do any of the steps. And then I think we consider the flat area at the end of the second step the porch, and they have not done that. And so
Were they supposed to do the home?
mobilize?
So they were supposed
No,
No,
it doesn't fall.
Okay.
The spring one is only flats, the sidewalks and.
Cause
And I think,
I don't wanna come be that guy with a laundry list, but actually I'm so thrilled to hear something, cause it was like non-existent, and these people got paid, I don't know what they did, but they didn't do anything noticeable. That I can tell you, and at all, like, it was actually really kind of obvious that they were not, so, yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Dean, go
and-
ahead.
like when we say flats, I think everybody else's impression of flats is like anything that's flat, which would include steps and porches. And so maybe terminology needs to be changed, but I think more importantly, I think those areas just need to be included, because when folks don't even know that anybody came out and did anything, you know, I think my wife was like, "Hey, I think they're power washing today," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess we'll see it." And then the Ring camera comes, and it's literally a 20-second clip that he spent on the sidewalk in front of my house. And so 0 impact, lots of frustration, because that's the thing that always happens. And then, you know, in the email blast, it says exterior PVC fences. They did not touch exterior PVC fences. And so if they got paid to do exterior PVC fences, we paid them to perform a service that they definitely did not do.
Thank you, Nick. I had I don't know, I noted that in another, comment on the landscape, on the stepstones. Did you receive an estimate from George? Because he gave me one today. Should I send it to you?
I think George said that he sent it to you, but I have not seen an estimate.
Okay, so I'll send it to you, and I mean to the committee, so you can,
Sure.
you can check it. Okay, because as is how you suggested, it's $1,088 with the plan, as Patricia has suggested, is $6,628.
Yeah, I knew the planting was going to make it pretty rough.
So, you know, I'll send it to you as soon as we finish the meeting, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. Some other, items that we had from the last meeting, the curb that needed to be fixed was fixed. The CCDD, we worked with them to send them to do the tree trimming in the area of the conservation. As you said, we've worked with you guys, and I appreciate your prompt action in it to have the landscape be fixed and upgraded in the front, the Celebration Boulevard. You had a question about the insurance, which Lawrence explained to you, sent a response. And then we also had the issue about the water bills, which we also send you the copies. I don't know if you have any other questions about that?
No, nope.
Okay, okay. Then we should go into the financials. If Jacob would like to.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go over the main sheet first, fine, and then I've been reviewing the monthlies. Thank you. Yes. So your accounts overall, your operating account is sitting at, by the end of May, it was sitting at $19,607. Your replacement fund is sitting, / your reserves is sitting at $459,000. You do have some interfund assets of about 15,000. Those are past, in layman's terms, those are IOUs, deferred payments to your reserve. So when your monthly contributions from owner assessments come in, or those are all applied into your operating account. And then every month there is an automatic withdrawal from the operating to be placed in the reserves based on the reserves allocations made in that year's budgeting cycle. It looks like, and I know we've discussed this, I think in Q4 of last year, in Q1 of this year, about this interfund asset liability line remaining around $15,000. It's basically a written out IOU of missing transfer payments from the operating to your replacement fund. And so it'll just continue to sit there until it's either one, wiped off by until the balance is transferred from your operating to your reserves. When we look at your reserve funding plan for Charleston, share this well.
Take a picture.
When we look at this reserve funding plan, entering the year of 2025, it was expected that your reserve balance was at 428,000, meaning that where we're sitting now at 459,000 is right on track to where it should be, with an annual contribution this year of 88,000. So halfway through the year, taking around 40,000 of that adding in would put you right where you are at that 459,000. So as far as how your reserves are funded, you're right in line to where you should be, give or take just a couple $1,000, nothing too concerning, nothing large. We notated that last year in 2024, this year and next year, there's not a large amount of expenditures expected. Just and the amount that's listed out is the annual landscape replacement. So that's going to be, when we look at this here, it's going to show us everything that's in your reserves, including fence, gutters, irrigation systems, landscapes, mailbox station, railings, your roof replacement, and shutters, as well as your large paint projects. Your funding, that's what I expected. The only thing you're seeing this year and next year is the 5,000 and change sitting on your landscape improvements line, with, it looks like, roofs coming up in 2027 as your next large capital project.
Right, and hopefully we can extend that.
So typically what we'll do, and what we've been doing with service areas, is whenever it comes closer to that time, so it'll be either in Q4 of 2026 or Q1 of 2027, we will bring out an engineer, a third-party engineering firm to write the scope of work and do a roof assessment. And that will then let us know where you are on your roof, if it needs done, if all of it needs done, or if it can be deferred for an additional year or two. As I know, like you said, your roofs are in good condition overall right now, so that hopefully you can defer that a year or two.
Yeah, and just remember, for ours, we're a little bit unique because even in 2027, it's not the entire service area that needs it, because some had theirs replaced with the lawsuit much more recently.
Exactly. So I don't think they have phases on here. I think that there's just basically a section that's out of 36. Maybe there is a phase on here.
Yeah. I have one 2017, one 2021. So
Yes, so that is notated then in your reserves of the phased roof. So even though there is this section in 2027, there is notated that some roof was replaced in 2021. That's not allocated in your 2027 expenditures, and that's allocated a few years out from.
Gotcha.
So, and this is, I think probably when we were discussing this last year, I know right around the time of the week of service area meetings, we were just about to receive the annual reserve studies, or not the annual, the reserve studies that we do every 3 years. And we might have been looking at last year's. I think with North Village, yours was right on that cusp, but we didn't receive it in time. So this one is updated as of fall of last year, and what we'll be basing all of our projects on for the next for 3 years from when it was done. We would do these every 3 years. Yep, so that being said, on a large scale, you're looking pretty good. When we look at your finances, pull those up as well. So when we look at this, which is, I know this is available on SeerNet for all of your association to see it as well with their login information. You're operating at your monthly expenses are around $7,000 as a budget. We typically, in good standing of what your balance is in, anywhere between 3 to 6 months of cash sitting in your operating fund is preferred. Your operating fund right now at 19,000 is just about that 3 months, a little short of that. So it could be in a better shape on your operating cash, but it's not in any detrimental shape. There is, when we go down line by line, we can see overall year to date, we're right on a little over budget by 3% year to date for your operating budget. As we're expected to spend 29,000 and you're at 30,000. One thing on, or a couple things, and we'll just start, I guess, from the bottom up, is with your water bill's coming in a year to date under budget. It did have a spike in May. I know we did a lot of sod, so your water bill would make sense that it is a bit higher your first couple quarters with the additional watering taking place. Your electric bill is just slightly above budget. Again, though, on an annual budget, we expected $300. And right now, year to date, you're at 177. So even if you're over, it's not, we're looking at $100 or $200, nothing too big. Termite bonds has been something we have been discussing, as they are a bit higher across the board than what we're majorly budgeted for 2025. And I know our service area team, finance team is looking into this to see if there was any better options as the contracts are being renewed. It looks like other vendors, because they are with Florida Pest Control, and it seems like right now you're at the best rate as far as focus. Other companies are looking higher as you're under a large contract with some other service areas on there as well.
Okay.
Roof repairs are a bit over budget for a year to date, but well in line on your annual budget. So there's no concerns there. Annually budgeted, you have $2,184. And year to date, you're at 1,600. So right in line, nothing to be too concerned on. Power washing on your monthly, it looks a little high at the end, but that is because it's going to have the spring power washing in there. And then let's see here. The gutter cleaning will be coming up. We just closed the RFP for the gutter cleaning, and we're working on one more bid for that. And then presenting those at the CROA board July workshop, which is going to be on the July 9th. And then once those are approved, we'll start scheduling those for late July and August for the gutter cleaning projects for the service areas. General repairs, that's a great line that is funded at $1,040, and you're only at $200 a year to date. So that's helping keep your overalls low. And irrigation repairs are coming in under budget year to date with $1,800 budgeted for the year, and we're at $200. The landscaping contract, it seems like it was budgeted slightly higher than what your contract is. So you're finding some cost savings there. At about year to date, we're about $750 in the green for that. And for landscaping general, this is an option you can use. I know we just mentioned in your reserve fund, you have about an annual allotment for landscape improvements. Your landscaping general is also for anything that's outside of the normal contract, so new plantings or anything like that. There's $5,000 budget annually. You've not spent any of it. We do recommend that service areas keep a buffer in that, especially entering hurricane season, as last year we saw a hurricane cleanup fee being added to all service areas for all the debris removal. And that needs to be funded somewhere, and that will come out of this landscaping general or not contract line. But that being said, if the project that you're looking at doing right now that the committee is looking at, it seemed like one of those two numbers was lower, and that could fall in line out of being paid out of your operating, or you could use your reserves for that as it is an improvement, and that's what that line is for. Your owner assessments, some things that are helping you right now is you are receiving a fair amount of money from interest payments from those in collections and such, where we never budget for service areas as far as income on late payment charges or interest income, and year to date you're at about $1,400 in revenue on that line. So overall that's helping your bottom line. And that will be about, a light overview of your financials. Overall, pretty good shape. I mean, could they be better in some aspects? Yes, but there's nothing too alarming. We are starting to build out the budgets for 2026, and we'll be scheduling a budget workshop with each of the service area committees for late July, early August. But as it looks, on a very high level review of your finances at the moment, it doesn't look like you're, in line to see any exponential increases. The only thing that usually is a large weighing factor is referencing right back to your reserves. And this is something that we're starting to see some trends on. When we reference your reserve funding plan, this is often where those uncontrollable increases are determined by, as we try to keep your operating balances as flat as possible, knowing that there may be some CPI or inflation increases to some operating expenses. But where you really see things changing that can't, that do affect any raises in HOA dues is this recommended contribution into your reserve fund. So in 2025, your recommended contribution was 88,000. And then that's increases in 2026 to 91, then 94,000 in 2027, luckily holding flat for the next 4 years. We'll look at that, and our finance manager, who also takes this into evaluation, regarding where your reserve balance is sitting currently, if you're gaining money on any interest, which it looks like you may need to start looking at move some of your reserve funds that's sitting at that 459,000 into some different investment accounts to help gain interest. As when these reserve funding plans are built out, there is an expectation that that your funds are kept in investment accounts, gaining a 2.7% interest, and then that difference, or your money gained from the interest, is applied back to your reserve fund, meaning that in 2025, it expects that your association from dues is paying 88,000 into your reserve, but that you're also making $12,000 on interest from the money sitting in that account, making it about $100,000 going into the reserves. And right now, we're not seeing any of the interest dollars, which is not, on a long run, not going to be helpful. But we'll look at right now with our new finance manager on. It's an initiative to transfer a fair amount of different service areas, sitting liquid assets into some different investment accounts.
So you guys will do that on your end? You don't need anything from the committee for that?
No, where the committee will usually come into play with that is, so from a meeting like this, we will ask that Ray starts to look into that. I know right now he's going to start diving into drafting these preliminary budgets for 2026. Once those are done, I think that'll allow more scope of time for him to dive into these investment requests. And so what you'll see there is usually a recommendation. Ray Furbez, our finance manager, will email your service area committee saying, hey, I hear you're interested in investing some of your reserve cash. Here's my recommendation, whether it be a CD, treasury bond. I know that he just mentioned that they're looking at some other options as well, because the CDs, the latter CDs, are kind of locking money in and not making it as easily obtainable if you were to need it. So anyway, that being said, he'll pass his recommendation to this committee, and then the committee can vote on that if they are in agreement with it. And then once that's done, it gets presented to the board at a board meeting for them to approve that change. And once that has been ratified by the board, then Ray will go on behalf of the service area, transfer those funds into that investment account.
Okay, I would only ask that, obviously he's got his own stuff going on with the budgets and stuff like that, but if there's any way to indicate that we would be interested in that, because as a committee, we have discussed that previously, and I think that was something Patrick might have been prepared to bring up today.
I think we discussed this at your Q1, and we stated that, yes, we are interested in this, and it's going to be a project for our new finance manager when they're onboarded. And he's been with us for about a month and a half. And he has been taking some investments he has already started for some service areas, and it looks like yours is now going to be added to that list, as we do want to get some of these funds put in into an investment account for you.
And is that something that
Okay.
he's deciding upon, or is the committee going to be commenting on?
Our finance manager will provide a recommendation to the
Right.
committee, and then the committee will review and vote once that vote is captured, it's still taken to the board for a final approval. And then Ray will do that.
But he's not operating in lateral.
No, not at all.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
No.
Mhm.
Any of your management staff nor your committee is allowed to touch the reserve funds without board approval in any manner, in that sense. So that's where we are with your finances overall. I know without all of your, committee members present, this conversation's a bit lighter, but I mean, we know Charleston's is in a pretty good spot. Your landscaping is in a pretty good shape with some ongoing projects. You figured out the water billing, and yeah, your association is looking pretty good on a high level in most aspects, so.
Yeah, everything's, besides the feedback I provided, I'd say everything is pretty solid. I talk to Patricia and Patrick all the time, and so I feel pretty confident that if there was any feedback that was really pressing, they would have let me know, or I would have been aware of it. And so Patrick said he got stuck in a meeting and I wasn't able to reach Patricia, but if there's anything that was missed or of relevance after we get off this, we always know that we have a direct line to the team, and so we have no problem reaching out.
Yes.
I know there'll be a couple housekeeping items for the committee members if you have not done so already, which is going to be that communication that moving forward from this annual meeting, that it's requested that all business be conducted through your town hall email accounts that are provided for you. And if you need help setting those up, we'll get you contacted with our IT department to help get those set up. And just signing of the committee code of conduct, which if you haven't done already, and since none of the committee members are in person, your service area team will email those out to you. So you just may see those coming up in the pipeline.
Yeah, I don't think unless I missed it, because I get a million emails, I don't think I saw anything about making my email account, but I knew that was coming. So yeah, I'll be on the lookout.
Thank you.
None of those requirements were set in place for the service areas until the new committees took position, which for the service areas starts at your annual meeting, which was this week. So that's when those are going to take place, and we'll help move. Our Dominico, our IT directors, is helping any individuals and hand holding those that may need additional support in that process.
We're a little tech savvy over here, and I can help.
You guys are fine. Yeah.
Yep.
Is there any further business to discuss, Rose?
No, that would be it. Thank you, Nick. Thank
yep.
you. We have a homeowner here that from 310 and Charleston. So thank you for being here, and we'll communicate by email. I'll keep you posted on everything, Nick.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.